Thank you and good morning, and thank you, Susan, and thank you, Hart. Performance at the Limit. A book that was conceived, delivered, based upon probably the most exacting, intense sport in the world where a nanosecond's difference can be the difference between success and failure. The book is brilliantly researched. Absolutely fantastic working models that every one of you can take away, have a look at in your time, that helps you back in your place of work. We're really, really lucky, and welcome the first of our panelists, one of the co-authors, Ken Pasternak. We're really, really lucky that as the world changes and transforms itself, and Formula One is seen as big, expensive, combustible, there's been room for new opportunities. And recently, Formula E reared its head. Many of those smiled and laughed that nothing will ever compete with Formula One. In a few very short years, nearly every Formula One player manufacturer is now represented in Formula E. We are very, very lucky indeed and privileged to have the HR director of Formula E. Please give me a warm welcome to Helene Speight. Helene, come and join us, please. Finally, our resident academic, Professor Chris Brady, who's at Salford Business School, and he's the Director of Sporting Studies. Give me a quick reflection on where you see the learnings from Formula One.
What I've learned from Formula One is that it does represent all of the experiences I've had working in the private and public sectors all around the world. And one of the key lessons from that is performance-driven. Every race, there are 21 races that take place during the year on 5 continents and 21 different countries. And you have to perform. It's like putting your balance sheet and your income statement out for the public to see at every race. If you don't deliver, it's not just your team that understands that, it's 500 million viewers on television who get to see that you failed or you succeeded. So the key message I would say at the outset is it's all about delivery and performance.
Formula E is at a very different age. It's only 2 years old as a season. It's crazy, it's chaotic, but at the heart of it is a real kind of shared purpose, which is something that I picked up from the team last night in the World Bank, and a shared goal to really succeed without having kind of one person that you can point to and say they did it. It is well and truly a team goal. So it's really magnificent to see from the sidelines that the team bought into a vision and the team are absolutely intended to make this one of the best motorsport championships in the world.
I'm from the football world, and twice a week 50,000 people turn up and tell us what we're doing wrong. And they tell us quite vociferously, quite quickly. And I think the difficulty when we try to translate these lessons from sports like F1 particularly is in your sphere. It's for you to be able to translate those lessons into something that's meaningful for the World Bank. Because maybe in the work that you're doing, you're not going to be dead if you get something wrong, whereas in their business you are. So I think the translation job is mostly to yourselves.
Next to me was Pat Simmons, who's the technical director for the Williams team. And a similar question came up. And I gave kind of a consultancy speak type of answer about working with and developing and getting underneath this person's skin. And Renee came to Pat and he said, show him the door. Get him out. We don't have time for this. Formula One works in such a rapid cycle that we cannot have a naysayer or a skeptic on the team. They can find a job somewhere else. It was pretty blunt, wasn't it?
It was brutally honest.
Yeah.
There's an ultimate tolerance of that underperforming manager by senior management. And it's particularly difficult in the World Bank, which seems to be incapable of getting rid of staff. They have none of that Jack Welch philosophy. But how do you keep staff motivated under that manager when you're trying to turn around that manager, and the examples you've given of trying to work with people to turn them around? But how do you keep staff motivated where they feel like, I just have to suck this up? Or do they really feel there's hope with this manager is going to turn around?
The only time it's ever happened to me, I had to leave. I couldn't
You were working for someone who was underperforming.
Yeah, and I left because I couldn't, in all conscience, undermine this guy because he's my boss. And everybody, and you suddenly get into a position of the number two that everybody's coming to you complaining about the boss. Now, you go to the boss and you say, listen, boss, if that person won't listen, I've been in that position where that person listened. You know, so you can go in and say, listen, boss, don't do this because the guys are not happy with this. And a really good boss will go, fair enough.
What role does HR play in this? I'm really struggling with the boss. There's some consensus amongst my team. Boss, decent person, but just underperforming. Seriously underperforming, affecting morale. Some of us are thinking about leaving. We're not able to deliver, but they're decent, but they can't do the role.
For me, it's about intervention. I kind of share, definitely within the formulary environment, we haven't got time for it. So I hired 40 people last year and 27 left, which kind of gives you an idea of the turnaround if something's not going to work. So it won't be tolerated, nor will bad attitudes. It's not always, it depends whether it's about the attitude or the technical performance.
So we've given a lot more of support, of hand-holding, but we are there, HR is there to support managers to do that. And I agree with Evan's comment, because there is nothing more detrimental to an organisation from what I've seen where you allow a poor performer, because it's not fair on everybody else, and it's obvious.
Start of this morning when you were trying to differentiate or connect between leadership and management. And I was struck by that because, some of the things that I've read over the years says that, leadership is an art which is, it's not genetic as such. Maybe 30% of it is genetic, but the rest is learned rather than taught. So that, I was thinking when you were talking this morning that part of the learning is also the nurturing to enable one to be a better leader or acquire those skills. The question I had from the panel and from you is, from your experiences, how well have institutions been, or individuals around institutions, nurturing both men and women on a similar sort of way over the recent years? And I ask that because despite all the strides that have been made on having a more balanced nurturing of leadership in institutions, or countries for that matter, we still are biased. I myself am biased. When I look at a man, I'll say, oh, he's strong-minded. A woman will be bossy. A man will be ambitious. A woman will be aggressive or pushy. A man will be sharp. A woman will be nasty. So,
is in so many organizations, you go into the cafeteria and you see a sign on the wall, in 2 weeks we're going to have a charity run, and you get your T-shirt, and we're going to get donations, and we're going to donate to the Heart Fund or the Cancer Fund. That's leadership. That's someone who's taking action, someone who's driving other people to action, who's creating a vision and causing other people to want to join them and follow them voluntarily into some new way of doing things to contribute.
Years ago, I was doing some work with Citigroup and one or two other big banks on diversity issues, exactly on diversity issues. And the big issue at that particular time was gender diversity. And I always think there's some sort of external imperative that drives change, some sort of burning bridge somewhere. Why was gender particularly important at that time rather than race? Well, because very senior, smart women were litigious and were suing, so people were losing a lot of money. So we better sort of do something. We better do something about this. And I think in the British Navy, at the British Navy, we are now allowed to send women to sea. For years and years, we weren't allowed to send women to sea. So here's your first task before René gives you another task. What was the event that enabled us to send women to sea? Why were we? Anybody answer?
What was the event that enabled the British Navy to start sending women
To sea.
to sea, on vessels to sea?
What changed it? Because we didn't want to do it. What changed that? Right, simple answer, we ran out of men. We didn't have enough men to put on the ships, to put the ships to sea. And like that, right, we need to get women to sea.
She will feel the positive environment that we're creating because we're very interested in what she's got to say. Over to you.
The morning in the office, and our only goal, not only, but maybe our main goal, would be to actually empower other people. I'm here, sitting in Georgia, and my goal would be that if somebody comes to me, my priority, with an issue, my priority would be actually to help that person. I'm sorry. No, he's a great apple. We want him.
Fabulous. Fabulous. Did you hear her voice? Did you feel the animation? She was alive. This wasn't sitting on a desk and some rubber. No, she, in her own words. And it was fun. She enjoyed it.
We'd like to be recognized and rewarded for challenging up,
Very good.
but for doing it in as constructive and creative a way as possible. So being allowed to flag problems, there's a cliff, please let's not go over it, but also presenting solutions.
Very good.
Chart. But also for all of the others at whatever level who form part of the distributed global teams that we know we are trying to co-deliver results.
This is the first of an experience of trying to bring the Inspired Leaders Network with Performance at the Limit out to the World Bank. You have been exemplary. Give yourselves a massive round of applause. Really outstanding. And if you don't mind, I work the panels a little bit more. Give them a closing round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you.